If you're new here, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization, and if you are new here, you probably haven't heard of the 6-month Sophisticated Declutter. This is one of my signature things I do every single year. I take you along the journey as we declutter our spaces over 6 months together. This year, 2024, is no exception. I've revamped the process as I do every year, make it just a little bit better, learn from prior years, both from myself doing it, because yes, I do this process along with you every single year, but also feedback that I've received from you watching on YouTube, those who follow along on Instagram, and those who have followed along using my ebook guide and done it themselves. If you follow me for a while, you probably know some of the basics of this process already, but I want to back it up for those of you who are new and explain exactly why I do it the way that I do it and how you can follow along. So first of all, I do this in 6 months for a reason. I find that time frame to be the exact amount of time that I can hold my own attention. Typically after about 6 months, people start to lose steam. Also, it's likely you might start to lose steam before that, but the idea of doing this through a community, following along with me, hopefully I'll be your cheerleader from behind the scenes. You can partner up with other people in the comments below and cheer each other on, kind of be decluttering partners. I'd love for you to get your family and those that you live with, if you live with other people, on board. But it's really hard regardless to maintain that energy for more than 6 months. So I like to cut it off there. And I don't do it in a shorter amount of time because I find that we really need 6 months to get through our entire house. And that's the goal. I want every single space in your home to be touched and gone through. No drawer, no closet, nothing is left unturned. After 6 months, we've gone through every space and every single thing you own. Imagine how great that would feel if you stick to the program. And I've gotten those comments before with some people saying, I've started this process and haven't stuck with it. If you've started it before and you haven't stuck with it, join me again. I am so excited for this year. Again, lots of revamps and things going on and different ideas I have for this year. So 6 months, let's make a commitment and we can do it together. If you're wondering how I join, it is completely free. I'm not going to charge you to join along in this process. There are a few different ways that you can follow along. If you are on Instagram, I would highly recommend that you follow me on Instagram. That's just where I will have daily updates. I will constantly be reminding you of things, again, being that cheerleader from behind the screen, really wanting you to succeed, and I will be sharing the spaces that I'm decluttering along with all of those tips and tricks. If you're not on Instagram, please do not worry. You can still follow on YouTube. I will have correlating videos with the spaces that we're going to be decluttering together because we're going to be following along the same schedule. I will also link below if you want to sign up for my emails. I will be pushing out emails that cover each space where I'm linking prior resources because I have done this for so many years. I have lots of videos and other resources that I don't want you to have to dig through to try and find. So I'm going to simplify that process for you. So again, it's going to be Instagram, YouTube, my email list. I do have a 6-month Sophisticated Declutter ebook that I created a few years back. I have revamped it. That is available on my website and you can use that to follow along with us. It has a much more in-depth review of every space, a breakdown, some printables that you can use to help you work through different spaces. But also if you're thinking, I'm not gonna be ready because of whatever reason is going on in your life in January to jump in, or the order in which I have structured it for 2024 doesn't make sense for you, I would highly recommend the ebook because you can rearrange things in whatever order works best for you. If you are a little bit flexible with your schedule, I would recommend following along with the order of how I'm doing things. Just because, again, if you can follow along on Instagram, on YouTube, or with those emails, and the ebook is structured the same way, if you can follow along in those places, it's just gonna be a lot more motivating and be more cohesive to follow through the rooms and spaces that I am doing, just so we're all doing everything together and it's easier to stay on track that way. That brings me to the how does it work question, and we do go room by room or space by space. There are tons of methods of decluttering. Sometimes people recommend doing item by item, room by room, or something completely different. I am doing a little bit of a combo while we're working room by room, and I am going to share an image on the screen here of the full schedule so you'll see it is broken down by category, room by room. We're starting this year in the kitchen. If you followed along in previous years and you remember the prior schedule, I have totally mixed it up. That's for a few different reasons. One of the reasons is if you've done this a few times, I'm hoping that by flipping the schedule a little bit, we can give different spaces a little bit more attention and flip-flop things around. I'm still very intentional about the order. So please know that the way that I'm doing it is very, very thought out and is meant to flow together. One concept kind of flows into the next. I've tried to break it down into when I think we'd have the most motivation, least motivation, and work with all of that throughout the schedule. Something new that I have this year is you will see certain weeks are listed in white. Those are our buffer weeks, and they are more built in than they've ever been before. I've talked about the concept of having buffer weeks, or saying, if you don't have a lot in this space, then don't worry about it. Use that to get ahead or work from where you maybe got behind. The same concept does hold true. You might be looking at this list and see things where it's listed in black and you're like, I don't have anything in that category, or this isn't something that I have in my home or apartment or living space. Those can still be your buffer weeks, but I have planned in buffer weeks every 4, 5, 6 weeks or so, and given you ideas of what you can do during those buffer weeks. And some of you may be looking at this like, I need to use every single buffer week because I also have things in those categories. That's great. This is a 6-month declutter, and then I have made a great schedule for you. If you're thinking, I don't have those things, then they are true buffer weeks for you, or you could be in some combination situation. But if they are a buffer week for you, work backwards. If you have fallen behind, which I know happens, it is a-okay to fall a little bit behind, or start working ahead. There's nothing wrong with being that A+ student and working ahead. If you are finding that you are falling behind, please do not stress. It's up to you as to how you want to manage that. I would probably recommend skipping those weeks and staying on track with the rest of us and tacking on a little bit more time at the end, as opposed to trying to catch up and constantly being a little bit behind. As I've mentioned, there are lots of advantages to being at the same spot that I'm at and the rest of this group is at, just so you can follow along in all of the different ways I previously mentioned. So you'll see everything has a category, a room listed in front of it. At the beginning, we're starting in our kitchen, but then within our kitchen, I have a certain number of weeks that I would like to spend in our kitchen decluttering, and I've given guidance as to which space of your kitchen you can declutter each week within that category. So you'll see that there are 4 weeks for spending in our kitchen, and I've started with our fridge and freezer. Then the next week we're going to be working on our pantry. So I would love for you to keep this pace with me, but this is about you. If you have other categories in your kitchen and you're looking at this list like, oh my gosh, I know that I need more time for my fine china, and I can probably do my fridge, freezer, and I don't even have a pantry. I can do that in 1 week, and I need more time with other areas of my kitchen. You can adjust it, and I'm just reiterating that point to emphasize how flexible this schedule is. One other thing I'll say about the schedule, if you see something labeled like entertainment unit or entryway and you're thinking, I don't have an entertainment unit or an entryway, I want you to know that I have a plan for each of those spaces. The ebook will break this down, so if you want to know all of that in advance, you can go ahead and check out the ebook, but I will also be sharing it as we get to those spaces. So things like the entryway, that doesn't just mean a specific entryway. We're going to be talking about decluttering jackets and hats and gloves and things that you would typically keep in an entryway even if you don't have that space. So if you see laundry room, we're going to be talking about cleaning products and other things that would be in a laundry room, whether you have a laundry room or not. Again, entertainment unit, we're going to be talking about decluttering decor and other things that you might keep on top or inside of an entertainment unit. This is a program that is meant to work for anybody, no matter your age, what stage of life you're in, or what type of space you live in. By that I mean if you're a student or you work a 9 to 5 and you are typically busy during the day, Monday through Friday, and you only have free time in the evenings, or you only have free time in the weekends, or you're retired and you have lots of free time during the weekday days, or you're a stay-at-home mom and you have kids running around and you only have short bursts of time to do things, you don't have a full day to dedicate to decluttering anything. I can kind of relate to that. I do work a full-time job. I'm a lawyer. If you don't know, that is my full-time gig, but I also have obviously a YouTube channel. I have an almost 2-year-old and I am about to have another baby very, very soon here. So as we're doing this sophisticated declutter, I'm going to have a newborn and a toddler and a full-time job and a side gig going on, but I am not worried at all I know this is still something that I can accomplish, and I'm gonna show you and I'm gonna be there with you. But to make it a little bit more practical, what I mean by I know that I can do this even with my crazy schedule is that when we break it down on a week by week basis, you can even break it down further in the way that works best for you. So for example, let's take somebody who doesn't have children and has some free time on the weekends, but is just jam-packed during the week. If you want to declutter your fridge and your freezer in one day on a Saturday, and you want to spend the entire Saturday doing it, that's great. You've accomplished your goal on week 1. You could also spread it out during the weekend and do the fridge on Saturday and the freezer on Sunday, and then still have your evenings free. Really doesn't take that long. It shouldn't take you a whole day to do either or even both of them. But if you're somebody who has a reverse schedule and you only have these short snippets of time, maybe you just have a little bit in the mornings before work, or a little time in the evening, or little bits throughout the day, you can say, I'm going to declutter this door of my refrigerator on Monday afternoon. And you just declutter the door. That's what you do in one day. Or if you want to break it down even further, maybe you have one shelf that you're going to declutter, one section of things that you're going to declutter. You can break it up into as many small bite-sized chunks throughout that week to meet your weekly goal, or knock it all out at once. Totally up to you, what your life circumstances and what your timing looks like. Hopefully I'm making this process sound simple, sound attainable, because it is. This process is about decluttering, and I want to emphasize that. The main goal that we have is decluttering. We aren't going to be spending a ton of time on organizing, though that is one of my loves. I will be sharing a lot about cleaning and organizing on top of this. If you have extra time and you really want to push each space to its optimal organization and decluttered state, I will be recommending products to help organize those spaces, cleaning techniques. So I know we were just talking about the kitchen and our fridge and freezer. As you pull everything out of your fridge and freezer and you're decluttering, it's probably a great time to give it a nice little wipe down, give it a good little clean. So I would highly recommend that you implement at least a little bit of cleaning as you are decluttering, but don't feel too stressed out that you have to declutter and clean and organize each and every space within a week. Although that is an option. Some of these spaces will feel attainable to do that. Others are going to be bigger jobs, but that is why we have those buffer weeks, and the main goal is decluttering. This is the sophisticated declutter, and I want you to experience the joy of living with less. You're gonna have so much more time to clean your house, and you're not gonna have to do as much cleaning in your house because you're not gonna be having to move as many things around. The daily pickup type cleaning, where you're picking up items that were left out on the countertops and on the floors, and all of that is going to be less because you're gonna have less stuff after going through this entire process. Same is true for organizing. You're going to have less to organize after you've decluttered, and that's why the focus is on decluttering and not all of the organizing products right now. I really, really don't want you to start this process saying we're going to work in our office and I'm gonna get all these great office organizing supplies. Please, please, please do not start a week out with buying organizing supplies. I want you to start with decluttering, because the worst thing you can do is buy a bunch of organizing supplies before you've gone through the decluttering process. You don't know what you need to organize until you know what items you're actually working with. So you'll likely end up buying a bunch of organizers for things that you're going to end up decluttering anyway. If you have time after you've decluttered and want to buy some organizing products to organize your space, I'm all about that. I do love a good bin or container. So I'm not gonna stop you there as long as you've done your decluttering homework. I have thought this whole process through, so I've got you again, no matter what your space or circumstances. Please, please, please leave me questions and comments below if you feel like there's something that still was left unanswered. Stay tuned for more videos. Make sure you are subscribed for my email list. You're following me on Instagram, and check out that ebook if you are interested. I always appreciate your support with my small business. And until next time, I will see you all later.